begin the service, for many of you who don't know, I lived in Los Angeles for 972 years. And while I was in Los Angeles, they formed Metropolitan Community Church. And the first building that they had was burned down. It was burned because people whose hearts were filled with hatred instead of love, with envy instead of understanding, and with unbridled misery instead of the joy of God, said if we burn the house down, maybe we can burn the love down. But guess what? You cannot burn God's love. Because this is a house of love. This is a house of grace and mercy and goodness and understanding. And if you come in love, you are welcome in love. But love will keep you outside the door if you didn't come in love. So we stand today knowing that if we were not lifting up the light of love, nobody would be trying to extinguish it. If we weren't living into the love of God, there wouldn't be people trying to tell us that God doesn't love us. So what we are going to do is what we do every Sunday. We're going to lift up love, we're going to lift up God, we're going to lift up this community, we're going to say, God's love is for everyone.
We are called to procreate God, a just and loving community, by being a source of spiritual enrichment, by liberating hearts, minds, and souls, and by proclaiming God's grace and all-inclusive love for everyone. Amen, amen, amen. It's time to be each other. We can hug, shake hands, elbow bump, however you like. Welcome.
please, and send our prayers to God. I know all of you have so many prayers. Many of you wrote it in this book. Throughout daily service, if you have time, if you have prayer pictures, even if you have phrases, write it down in this book. It is prayed over. It is just not left there so that people can see what your daily struggles are. No, it is prayed over. It is prayed over. You know, God calls us His children.
Yes.
And He said He loves you. And He said Christ. He said Christ, that Christ is God up here in heaven, that He came down to be with you. He came down from His throne to be with you. What other false God would do that for you? None. He came down to tell you that no matter what people are shouting or saying about you, that you're loved, that you're redeemed, that you're forgiven, that there is a beautiful room in that mansion in heaven. Don't listen to the enemy. What do you call yourself? God knows you by name. He knows you by name. And I'm going to ask you, what do you call yourself?
God's child.
Yeah. If you're defeated, no, your name is victory. If you have an illness, no, your name is healed. If your name is hate, no, your name is love. And if someone did you wrong, no, your name is forgiven. You need to change your name to what they called you, and to the name that your heavenly Creator has given you. Victorious, beautiful, loved, blessed, prosperous. Everything that God has is given unto His children, and you are His children. So don't entertain evil with more evil. There is no victory. There is no love there. Don't entertain lies with more lies, because there is no truth there. We came here knowing that every day we were going to be persecuted for who we are and whose we are. But we're going to leave here victorious. Because I don't hear them shouting anymore. I don't hear them saying anything anymore. So whatever ugly, evil, disgusting, mean thing you heard coming over here, push it out. Push it out and let love in. In other words, let the word of Christ in. Because right now you are going through problems. Financial problems, health problems, marital problems. And those are distractions that the enemy doesn't want you to go up to God and say, God, I'm having marital problems, I'm having financial problems, I'm having health problems. So as long as you don't go with God to the problems that you have, you're going to focus on the problems that don't matter. And that problem out there does not matter. So stay focused on your problem so that you can see the victory, so that you can see the healing, so that you can see the recuperation, so that you can see yourself as loved by God. Again, if you haven't had a chance, here is the book, write it down. And at the end of the service, prayer partners, which will be me, if you want more prayer, I'll pray over you. If you want somebody else to pray over you, that's fine. Get somebody to pray over you, that's fine, okay? But don't leave this place disrupted, molested by that word of evil and hate. When you leave those doors, you leave refreshed, happy, joy, victorious. You cannot come in here and leave this place the same way you entered. Amen. So right now we're going to pray as one voice, one body. And whatever you have prayed, that's okay. Pray within yourself. Not so much for our brothers who need prayer, but don't forget the problems that you're going through. Pray for those challenges too. So let us go to our Creator in prayer, because He's here. God is here. He looks like you and I. There's plenty of love in here, and I feel it. The choir proclaimed it with so much power and authority. Hallelujah. 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 Heavenly and holy Creator. Every child in here, oh God, man, woman, young, old, wealthy, not so wealthy, tall, young, whoever, regardless of gender, regardless of the gender that they identify with, God, none of that matters to you, God. What matters is in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls. And you know that we love you, O God. So God, we ask that your mighty Spirit be upon each and every one of us who are here, and those who might be on their way, O God, that we will not give no ear to the enemy. We will not give sight to the enemy. We will let them walk in their own darkness. And then when they need love, we'll be ready for them. Yes. God, we ask for prayers that are in these books. In this book, oh God, we ask for prayers of health, finances, relationships, loneliness, heartbreaks. We ask for prayers, oh God. We lift them up. And in the minds and the hearts of every child in this household, oh God, we lift up those prayers as well. Those spoken and unspoken. You know all prayers and hear them all. The ones that are shouted and the ones that are whispered. You, oh God, hear them. The lady who's crying for help, the man who's hurting, the soul that is broken, the money that's not there to pay the bills or even buy food or pay for medicine, someone in the hospital alone, a loved one who has passed. God, you hear their prayers. No one in this place will have a silent prayer not heard by God. Again, oh God, this is a praying church. We lift them all up. We name them and we declare them and to be covered in the name of the blood and body of Jesus Christ. We all say amen. Amen. Now let us recite the Lord's Prayer. Please rise.
Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Buenos días. Buenos días. La lectura de esta mañana se encuentra en el libro de Colosenses, el capítulo 3, los versículos 15 y 16. Permitan que la paz de Cristo controle siempre su manera de pensar, pues Cristo nos ha llamado a formar un solo cuerpo para que haya paz. Y den gracias a Dios siempre. Permiten que el mensaje de Cristo viva plenamente entre ustedes. Enséñense y aconséjense unos a otros con toda la sabiduría que Dios les da. Canten salmos y canciones espirituales con el corazón lleno de agradecimiento a Dios. Palabras del Señor.
Good morning, church. Colossians 3:15 through 16. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace. And be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your heart. May the Lord bless the hearers and doers of the word.
We are called to peace. It doesn't take any effort to be peaceful when there's no war. It takes real effort and real faith to be faithful and peaceful in the midst of chaos and confusion. We don't have chaos and confusion to give. What we have to give is the peace of God, which surpasses all human understanding. So if we need God's peace, we may come and pass on here, because we have plenty to share. We don't have any chaos and confusion for you. So if you need that, you have to find that someplace else. If you need to find antagonism, you'll have to find that someplace else. If you're looking for an enemy, you'll have to find it someplace else, because God reigns in this house. This is God's house, in whom God is well pleased, and we are God's people living into the mission to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. When I was praying about today, that there's so much confusion in the world, there's so much chaos, there's so much disquiet and distrust. I said, God, I need you to speak to my heart. I need you to speak to my spirit. And God gave me a word. Before we get into that, I just want us to take a moment and release all of that, whatever that may be, and be fully present in this place of love and light, this place of peace and joy, this place of the unconditional, eternal, and everlasting love that we call God. Pray with me.
Perhaps those young men outside read my lesson before I got here. I don't know how they got up in my house. There's supposed to be some security up in there, but I don't know how they got up in there and looked over my shoulder and read what I was trying to write. But you know what? If they didn't get it then, they need to get it now. Because no matter how hard we try to figure things out, there's always going to be a mystery. There's always going to be something that makes you scratch your head and say, God, what is that about? So as we travel this journey called life, we can look back and we can see so many things that we still don't understand. But I am here this morning to remind some and to tell some for the first time, but basically to speak to myself so that I know, along with you, that God's intention is now, it has always been, and will always be for our highest good. God did not mean for you and I to suffer. God meant for us to enjoy the benefits of being the children of the Most High God. Now, for those of us who identify as Christians, and I name myself as one of them, the entire foundation of our religious tradition is rooted and grounded in faith. But I want you to know this morning that faith is not limited to Christianity. Because the simple truth is that everybody lives in some kind of faith. Even though the choice of what to have faith in is optional, You cannot choose not to have faith. You are going to have faith in something, so you get to choose what you have faith in. Now, it will either be faith in God, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipotent, or it will be faith in whatever you understand God to be. Or it will be faith in something other than God. It will be faith in your ability to stand and have a voice that's louder than the loud voice of God's peace. The teachings of Jesus the Christ form both the core and the substance of my faith. At the core of my very being, I accept the instruction of Jesus. And it's found in the Gospel of Mark, the 9th chapter and the 23rd verse, and it says, if you can believe, everything is possible for the one who believes. It says if, because God is not going to make you believe. It says if you can believe, if you've been through some stuff that leads you to believe, then all things are possible to the one who believes. You can if you believe you can. So while it's possible that you and I may have situations and circumstances in our lives that prevent us from keeping our word, sometimes we just can't get there on time. Sometimes the lady is driving through the neighborhood, looking at houses, driving at 15 miles per hour, and you can't get around her, and it makes you late. So you promised that you were going to be there in time for prayer, but you couldn't get there in time. So sometimes the world intervenes, and we cannot keep our word, no matter how strong our intention was to keep that word. But I want to tell you this morning, God cannot and will not ever fail to live up to God's word. If God promised it, God will deliver it. So we are told, with mortals, this is impossible. And I don't know about you, but there are some days that I feel very mortal. My mortality comes down upon my shoulders and upon my spirit, and I feel very human. I don't feel the Spirit of God moving in me because the things of the world weigh upon my shoulders and weigh upon my heart and make me feel as though I'm not going to be able to make it. But God promised me that if I have faith, God will see me through it. I found that it's impossible for me to spend my life declaring and professing my faith and standing up and waving my hand and saying, thank you, Jesus, and then spend my time worrying. Because for me, when we engage in worrying, it is a denial of faith. It is a way literally, and I don't mean figuratively or metaphorically, it is literally saying to God, God, I don't think you can handle this. I know that you could part the Red Sea. I know that you could feed the 5,000, but you can't deal with my stuff. My issues are so important and so earth-shattering that the God of all the universe can't handle it. So I'm not going to have faith, I'm going to worry instead. Is that really the message that you want to convey? Is that the thought process that you want to nurture and bring into your life? Is that the idea that you want to plant in the fertile soil of your very being? Because hear me this morning, worry has its root cause in fear. And fear is the very opposite of faith. Fear and faith cannot and will not coexist, either peacefully or harmoniously or any other kind of way. You can have faith or you can have fear. You cannot have both. So this morning, and it's especially important this morning, you know, God knew what was going to happen this morning before I did. All I did was put it down, but God knew what it was going to need to be. I want to invite everybody in this room to consider what it would be like if we were willing and determined and committed to live the fearless life that comes because we trust in a God that's bigger than anything that can ever come against us. What would happen if we were willing to live a fearless life that's rooted and grounded in the unconditional, eternal, and everlasting love of a God that will never leave us or forsake us? God and me are the majority. What would happen if we were willing to be co-creators with God? And trust me, God will not create anything unlike itself. So if there needs to be peace, you and I can create the peace of God. If it needs to be joy, you and I can create the joy of God. If it needs to be understanding, you and I can create the understanding of God. But if it needs to be something else, it will have to come from something else. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. What would happen if you're willing to consciously and lovingly be co-creators with God? See, God doesn't have any hands when somebody needs to be comforted. God doesn't have a human voice that can say, baby, it's going to be all right. God does not have the ability to speak to my heart and say, no matter how much hatred surrounds you, love fills you and will overcome it. When we consciously and purposely choose what we'll believe and what we'll spend our time dwelling upon. See, I believe in my heart of hearts that when we allow ourselves to become victims of fear, and make no mistake, fear is a hateful, harmful thing, and if you deal with fear, you are a victim. When we allow ourselves to become victimized by fear, sometimes we think that the fear is rational. Sometimes we think, well, I live in the fact-based world. I'm a reality-driven person. And any person who is rational would understand that this is a fearful situation. Huh? But I want to tell you, if you buy into the okie doke, as my former president used to say, you'll have an opportunity to experience the very thing that you're afraid of. Yes. To give in to fear is to poison our present moment experience, and it sabotages our future experience as well. In Job 3:25, now, Job was self-righteous. Job said, I do everything that God told me to do. I pay my tithes on time. I take care of my kids. I pay the rent on time. I do all the things I don't speed. I do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and yet all this stuff has come upon me. Job says, what I feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. But guess what? The fear didn't come from God, because fear is not the gift of God. In 2 Timothy 1:7 we read, for God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a spirit of self-discipline. That's what you got from God. Fear came from someplace else. And as far as I'm concerned, it can go wherever it came from. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. None of us do. Even those of us that wrap the towel around our heads and look at the crystal ball and say, thus saith the Spirit, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't even know what will happen when we leave here today. I didn't know that when I got to my house of worship, my place of sanctuary, my place of family, my place of fellowship and love, that I was going to have to confront somebody who was consumed by blind hatred to the point where they were confronting the fear in their own hearts. Because what he's talking about is about him, and it ain't nothing about it. None of it is about that. But I'm going to say this. Where there is hatred, we will bring love.
Yeah.
Where there's confusion, we will bring understanding.
Yeah.
Where there's pain, we will bring healing, because that's who we are. That's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to be. And God said it, I believe it, and that's it. Now I know that there's lots of things in this world that we can't control. And no matter what happens, though, I want you to know this. No matter what happens, we are not helpless. We are not helpless, and we are not victims. We are the beloved children of God, in whom God is well pleased. Nothing and no one that comes against us can stand because we stand in love. So we choose this day who we will serve. And we're serving love in here. I don't know what they're serving out there, but we're serving love in here. We choose faith and gratitude. I don't know. I am not willing to live in fear and frustration. If that's what you need, you will have to find it someplace else. What I believe makes the difference in my journey. And I don't believe that any of the things that we confront and deal with are supposed to make us fail or fall. What comes against us is to remind us of how strong we are living in the light and the love of God. Whenever things occur that cause us to be deeply concerned and uneasy and anxious about the future, all it does is remind me of all of the times that I have been delivered by God's amazing grace. I don't know about you, but I have been in some situations where everybody said, well, I don't know how you're going to get out of that. And I said, I don't know the how, but I know the what. If you have never been delivered out of anything, then you don't know what God can do. What you are talking about is hearsay. And as you know, in the court of law in these United States of America, hearsay is inadmissible evidence. So I can't live out of your faith journey. I have to live out of what God has done for me. When we face our personal lives and we look at what is going on in our church and in our nation, whatever we must, it did not come to defeat us. I believe that God is giving us an opportunity to bind ourselves together even more strongly in the love and compassion of Christ.
Yes, amen.
When Jesus was confronted with hatred, he said, forgive them, Father.
Yes.
They don't know what they're doing. Ignorance, hatred, bias, prejudice, none of that is of God.
No, it's not.
None of that is of God. And when you stand rooted and grounded in faith in a God of love and a God of light and a God of justice and mercy, none of that stuff can come against you. What I sincerely believe is that God has a plan and God has a purpose. And that plan and that purpose for the highest good of everyone in this community and beyond. I ask that we continue to pray. Continue to pray. That God will reveal to our hearts and our minds the path that we must follow, both as a church and in our individual lives. Because in case you missed it, let me repeat it. We are called to be the instruments of God's love. We are called to be the hands and the feet of God's love. We are called to be the light in the darkness. We're called to be the wisdom in the midst of that ignorance. We are called to stand firm when everything around us is shaking. We are called to be the ones who know and who tell others, if you want to know, come go where we go. We are a beloved community, and we're willing to be agents of transformation. So where there's conflict, we offer peace. Where there's intolerance, we offer understanding. Where there's the frigid coldness of hostility and indifference, we offer warmth and compassion. Where there's been rejection and condemnation, we offer the warm welcome of God's amazing grace and God's forgiveness. We cannot do this unless we live the faith that we say we believe.
Yes, Lord.
We must lovingly and unshakably embrace the faith that trusts that God is with us and will never leave us or forsake us. Because the God that I serve lives, moves, and has its being within me. I can no longer be separated from God, but I can be separated from the blood in my veins. And neither can you. A faith that gives us the courage and the patience to wait on God, knowing that in due season, if we faint not. See, they like to pick out little parts of the scripture and hit you with parts of the scripture, but they don't give you the context in which that part of the scripture came from. In due season, God will bring forth the harvest. That's good. And we all want the harvest. We all want things to get better. We all want things to be wonderful and glorious. But the requirement is, if you faint not, if you don't give up, if you don't trust the fear, and you give power to your faith. A faith that gives us confidence to know that however many mountains we have to climb, individually or collectively. I remember Mahalia said, God, don't move the mountain. Give me strength to climb. Lord, don't move the stumbling block. Lead me, Lord, around it. Our faith will help us live into the reality of what it means to love our neighbor as ourselves, especially when our neighbor is certifiably out of their mind. What it means to trust God in all things, not just the things that we say are easy, but in all things. What it means to know that our God of love will never leave us or forsake us, because love is not what we have, love is who we are. Now, as many of you know, I'm not a great follower of the Apostle Paul for what I believe are sound theological reasons, and if we ever have a Bible class that I teach, I will talk about how come me and Paul have some fallen outs. But nobody is always wrong. Just like nobody's always right except God. So Paul is writing to one of the struggling churches. Now, we are not a struggling church. No, we're not. We are a church that's rooted and grounded in faith and love and joy. So he might not have been talking to us, but I think would be helpful for us to hear it. This is what he advised the church at Corinth when things were going badly, when folks were fighting with each other, when folks couldn't find a way to come together in peace and love. And if you want to find it, it's in 1 Corinthians, the 10th verse in the 13th chapter. Yes, and he says this. He says, no test has overtaken you. Y'all ain't all that special. But what is common to all people, if it happened to you, it's happened to everybody. You can be confident. Now you notice he didn't say, well, you can hope or you can wish. He said you can be confident that God is faithful. Right? Confident that God is faithful and he will not let you be tested beyond your ability to stand. If a test has come upon you, it's to make you strong. If a test has come upon you, it's so that you will not be afraid. If a test has come upon you, it's so that you can stand in the cold, gray light of God and say, thank you, God, that you delivered me. Thank you, God, that I depended upon you. I have faith in you and you brought me through. Our faith. God is my way out of it, whatever it is. Our faith will keep us on the right track to building a beloved community that can stand strong even in the midst of those who would tear our word of love down. Yes. Our faith will keep us on the right track to blessing and healing and prospering and uplifting all of God's people. Our faith will allow us to continue seeking ways to be the change that we want to see in the world. We can't tell people that we're a house of peace, and then the minute something comes upon us, we fall into chaos and confusion. Our faith will strengthen us as we stand with all those who seek justice, fairness, and equality for all of God's children, no matter what their country of origin, no matter why they decided that they needed to come to this shore for protection and for help. We stand for justice for all of God's people. Our faith will empower us to be the voice of peace and oneness, and I don't care how much disorder, disharmony, and disarray there is in the world. This is a place of peace. Because I have faith. My God is still God. My God is still God. I have faith that the promises of God are still true. I have faith that what God has done for any of God's children, God is willing and able to do for any of us. I have faith that we serve a God that's the light in a darkened world. I have faith that God has promised never to leave us or forsake us, even unto the ends of the earth. I have faith, and guess what? I am not afraid. I am not afraid. Because I have faith. I'm thankful. Has God done anything? If you just stop and think about what God did for you on your way here this morning. I'm not asking you to think back what God did back in 1948. What did God do for you this morning? What did God do for you when He woke you up? What did God do for you when He gave you a way to get where you needed to go? What happened when God gave you eyes to see and a voice to speak and a heart to love and a spirit of joy? What happened to that? How about to be thankful for that? But I have faith in a God that will never leave me or forsake me. I have faith that a God will allow me to stand when the voices of rage and hatred and condemnation and fear of their own being will rage against us. We stand in the eye of the storm because the eye of the storm is faith in God. Amen. Amen.
We have now come to this moment in our service where we give back to God the abundance of our blessings that God has given unto you already. In John chapter 10, verses 34, Jesus answered them, "It is not written in your law, I have said you are gods." So if you are gods, you're made in the image of God, then you're wealthy. And I'm not talking about money. I need people to understand that. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your talent. I'm talking about your skills. I'm talking about the energy, the good health that God put in you. In other words, if we are God, if you're a God, and you're a God, and you're a God, that means to have the power to bring love and healing to somebody. In MCC, we do that. If you pay attention to what MCC does, MCC is not just here in San Antonio. It's in the valley, up north, in Dallas, West Coast, East Coast, even in parts of the world where we are persecuted because of who we love.
Yes.
Everyday lives are in danger.
Yes.
Where lives are taken away because of who we are and who we love. MCC is not just San Antonio. So know that because you are a God, because Christ played it. And if I go to Psalms 82, Psalm 82 and 6, it says, "I said you are God. You are all sons and daughters of the Most High God." So because you are God, we should never have an excuse not to give back to the one true God. From your talents, from your skills. So again, I remind you, if you can volunteer to do audio video, volunteer. If you have time to be part of the choir, be part of the choir. If you have time to help out the food pantry, they need your help. Be part of the food pantry. And if you cannot, and if you cannot, because you're busy, God understands, and your brothers and sisters know that you have lives and you're busy, maybe from the generosity of what God has already blessed you with, give in the tithing. Remember, those tithings go for global justice. To pray for people so that we can travel to people in hospitals, people who have passed away, help people pay for utilities for a certain amount that they cannot afford themselves. FCC is not just here in San Antonio. It's global. It's global. So find it in your heart, you, God. Find it in your wealthy heart, you, God, to give back to the one true God who will continue to bless you and bless you more. In the name of Jesus, as the ushers come forward.
Suffering
Heavenly Holy Creator, we bring these tidings, O God, to further your kingdom. Lord God, we ask that these blessings be equal for those who are able to give and those who are not able to give. Lord God, we ask that your mighty blessings and love fall upon them all equally. Again, that these tidings be going into the furthering of your kingdom, O God. All of this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I'm glad to be home. Love visiting family, just like but I'm so glad to be home. As I pulled up to the church, I was like, oh my gosh, we are so important, we got protested. We are on the map, y'all. You know, already message KSAP, it's gonna be okay. But you know what? I'm thankful. I'm really thankful. And with gratitude and thankfulness to be home, to know that when I walked in the door, the joy and the love was there. And I knew I was home. So as we close our eyes for a prayer of silent confession and reflection, so in Matthew chapter 17, verse 20, God tells us if we have the faith of a grain of a mustard seed. Now, if you've never seen a mustard seed, you can barely find it. But if you have the faith of a grain of a mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to move from here to there, and the mountain's got to move. There's nothing that's impossible with faith. So we listen today about faith and gratitude, and here at this table is a table of faith. This table was set with gratitude. This table was set for us so that we would know that God remembered us and that we would always have God to remember. And as we walk through life and we try and maneuver through the challenges, shall we say, that sometimes life throws at us, there is grace, peace, love, and joy, and refreshment to be found here. So we come here every Sunday, you know, and those of you who were raised in other churches know that it was like the third Sunday, and if you missed it, you didn't get it till next month. So the joy of knowing that every Sunday we get to sit with God. And every Sunday we celebrate the fact that we are loved. We were so loved that God died on the cross. But you know how much He loved us? He rose again 3 days later. That's the kind of love we're talking about. And it's that love that set this table that was set for you. So on the night where He knew He was going to suffer, He sat with friends. And He said, He knew someone. He knew from the very beginning So there were no secrets here. God sat at that table knowing that he would be crucified. He knew he would suffer, but he chose it so that we might and that we might have it abundantly. And nothing and nobody can steal our joy. You might be able to mess with my happiness for a minute or two, but you can never mess with my joy. Because the joy that God gives us is deep, deep, deep down inside. Can't nobody take it from me. Can't nobody touch it. Can't nobody take it away. So he took the bread, which was a common staple, and he blessed it and he said, "This is my body, which will be broken for you." And he took the cup, the Elijah cup. At Jewish tables, this cup is still set because they're still waiting for the Messiah. But he took the Elijah cup and he said, blessed it, and he said, "This is my blood." And every time you eat of this bread and drink of this cup, you will remember me. Let us pray. Heavenly, most gracious Creator, Lord God, we ask that you bless these elements and you take them from the natural to the spiritual, Lord God. Lord, as we take in communion, we take in health, we take in healing, we take in faith. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 Please join me in the song of the
I'm going to do something that I believe in. We, as parents, as community, we're very quick to point out the things that are wrong. We're very quick to say our young people are not doing what they need to be doing. We're very quick to point our fingers at them and say they need to be doing better than they're doing. But you know what? Some young people are doing great things. And when they do great things, we want to say thank you for doing the great things. One of our own children, one of the daughters of this church, one of the daughters of this community, had a milestone in her life. And we are, as a church body, going to celebrate and congratulate her for this achievement. I'm going to ask the latest graduate, Jocelyn, if you would come forward. And if you extend your hands to this graduate. Jocelyn, as you go forth on this new chapter in your life, as you look back on the years that you spent working hard to achieve your certificate of graduation, as you worked hard to do the things that were required of you, know that we appreciate your work. We are thankful for all that you have done to shine a light and to show young people that they can succeed, that they can get ahead, that they can overcome all of the obstacles. We're so proud of you. We give you thanks and praise in the name and the nature of Christ Jesus, and we send you forth in love, in light, in joy, and in success in all that you will ever do. Amen, amen, and amen. Amen, amen, and amen. There were some announcements.
Hola.
All right, this is the life of the community. They are all in your bulletin. I'm not going to mention them all, so take your bulletin so I can look at them, and so you can remember. Most important, the potluck. Because we all like meat, so potluck, style lunch service after every first Sunday of the month. Please bring your favorite dish to share, and I believe your POCs are right here. Right? And they are also important context too. Bulletin announcements are due Tuesday by 2 p.m. each week, and your point of contact is right over there, Miguel. Board of Servants meets every third Sunday of the month, which is today, after 10:30 service. Food pantry. Wow, okay. Most important, I'm sorry. So the potluck is not that important. Food pantry. Volunteers are needed every Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Saturday at 7:30 to 11 a.m. Please check in the social hall, I guess, for more directions, but your point of contact is right over here. Prayer box, like my husband mentioned earlier, prayer box is right over there. Drop in your prayers. This is a praying church. We will pray for you, for your loved ones, for everybody, for yourself, everybody. Social media. We're doing really great on social media. Your point of contact is out there. Your ABs up there. School supplies. School supplies. Who said school supplies? Cynthia. Okay, your point of contact. Please see her. Is there anything you want to say? No? Oh, they volunteered.
No, what I want to say is we support our community. We support our community and we support children. Some of these children don't have access to the things they need to be successful in school. We want all of our children to be as successful as Jocelyn was. So we want to support them. So pick up some pencils or pick up some crayons and bring them, and we will see to it that the children that need them get them. Amen?
All right, if anyone is interested in joining a bowling league, there's a meeting that's going to be held August 29th at 7 p.m. at the Astro Bowling Center. Right? Okay. We are selling raffle tickets. Proceeds will go towards the MCCSA Food Pantry, right there. $2 each or 3 for 5. For more details, see Lonnie or Jessica. Thank you.
Hi there. I missed the deadline for the announcement. So, thank you all for the reminder. Tuesday at noon at 2 o'clock. So, the small groups are wrapping up their second round. We still have a Saturday group that's meeting one more week, and then we're going to take a break until after Labor Day. But we do have a movie night this coming Friday, it's going to be at the Joy Center. We're going to convert the Joy Center to a movie theater. So, there's going to be popcorn and nachos and movie foods. So, come in, bring your, the movie is Flywheel. It's a Christian-based movie. It is children friendly. So, we'll see you there. If you have any questions, you can call me.
Thank you, Debbie. That's Debbie Fresh, y'all. How many of you had an awesome time in the house of God? So while still being for a song, we could not let today go by without honoring Aretha Franklin. So we're going to do our rendition of Bridge Over Troubled Water. Amen. Please rise as ready.
Not only is Aretha the queen of soul, but Aretha was a civil rights icon. She marched in the first march on Washington. And when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement needed some money, he would call Aretha and say, Aretha, we need some help. And she'd say, Doctor, what do you need and how can I get it to you? When Angela Davis was arrested for protesting, Aretha Franklin prayed for her baby. She said, black people gave me this money, and I want to see to it that black people are supported with everything that I do. She did not just sing, she lived civil rights.